looks like, how data flow and all these things. Before that, I just want to cover a few points. What is Open Telemetry Collector and all these things. So basically, everyone is aware, like, what is Open Telemetry. So it's a vendor agnostic solution. So it's like we can use any vendor. So it's like so you can think from that way, like, we are going to develop a framework, okay, in our infrastructure, and after that, tomorrow I have to switch from open source vendor, or either we are using Splunk or any other XYZ vendor. So we can do in a moment. It's like we just have to change that exporter configurations. It's like if I just want to use Jaeger, I can go to Jaeger. If I want to use signal effects, I can just use signal effects exporter. If I just want to send something to Fluentbit, I can send those data to the or a telemetry to Fluentbit. So this is how it is a vendor agnostic solution. So it's like there is no dependency on any vendor, and it is CNCF driven project. CNCF is a very active organization, if you are aware about that Kubernetes solution and all these things. So Kubernetes is one of the top solutions from the CNCF. And the second most active project right now in the CNCF is OpenTelemetry. And last year we have a conf in India. KubeCon was here. This year again, it's in Hyderabad. I think in the month of August, 6, 7. So maybe this year they are planning to make graduate Open Telemetry as well. Right now, Open Telemetry is not graduated, but there are a lot of progress. Lot of things are going on, right? And about Open Telemetry Collectors, you can see we have unified telemetry pipeline. What does it mean? Like, we don't have to rely on any vendors. Like, okay, a vendor will give you the package and you have to do anything. So we have everything, every solution, all the things are available. Like receivers are there, processors are there, everything is open source. Then everything is available, and all these things are used by Splunk only. Splunk is also using this solution. Splunk is adding some more context on top of these unified telemetry pipeline, and it is taking data into SignalFX. SignalFX is a backend for that, and we can do. We have simplified operations, like we have model like agents. We have a model like agent gateway model and all these things. It is very scalable and flexible, so we can do deployment in a multiple ways. We can do using our, if you are using Splunk, so if you have a deployment servers, like, you are doing for the UF, so Splunk have their add-on for Open Telemetry, Splunk add-on for Open Telemetry. So you can deploy that solution using that deployment servers to all the UF, and you can run as a service, right? That is one way. Other way is like there is a concept in Open Telemetry called OPM, Open Telemetry Solution, OPM. So you can use that Open Telemetry. So it is bit unstable right now, but people are working, communities working on that. So you can use that as a deployment tool. Apart from that, you can use any DevOps thing, whatever you are using for deployment of your universal forwarder or any other pipelines. So you can do that the same way it works. And it supports multiple backends. So it can send data to both open source and commercial observability platforms. And they have, we have some default telemetry destinations. So our local agent, like wherever we have collected, so the first point of contact, for all the telemetry data is our local. So we can see data locally, and we can see, okay, hey, this is fine or not. And after that, we can decide like what we have to process, what we have to trim, and after that we can send it. Second thing is like about this architecture part. This is very interesting thing. Okay, so if you can see here, so this is the way how we receive, process, and export the data. So everything is done within the collector itself. Collector, you can think about our UF or HF. I'm just giving you analogy. So it's not like that, but somehow it is doing most of the things what our universal forward does, right? It collects the data. UF does universal forward do collects the uh, logs. It can read and it can just collect the logs. For that, we have a receiver to collect the logs, like I think file log receiver something here in Open Telemetry. In the same way, we do pull. No, we do use add-on to collect the metrics. If you are aware about universal forward Splunk add-on for Unix, Linux, Windows, right? So we used to collect. We are just sending a WMI scripts and all those things, and we are pulling some data from metrics from the Windows, and we are just running some scripts, .sh scripts into our Linux server using that Splunk add-on for Linux and all these things. Those things we do from the using you can say receivers, hotel receivers here for the metrics. So there is different receiver. Like for example, host metrics is one of the receiver we have. So we do use that thing to receive the data. And same thing for the tracing as well. So we have multiple receivers, like how we are going to collect the data. First part is like how we are going to receive the data. So this is the first section, like a receiver section. After that, this is a mid section, like where we do all the transformation part. I'm talking about analogy. It's like the way we are doing in a Splunk indexers or Splunk heavy forwarders, we do write some props.conf, we do write some transform.conf, right? And we do write some regex, and I have to do some null queue and all these things. Or I have to do some transformation, like I have to change the field name and all these things. All these things I can do on this layer, like in processes. Processes are like, if I have to add something new, like let's say I just want to add the environment, I can do that. Or I have to make like let's say my environment is like a prod and it is coming into uppercase. I just want to make it lowercase, so I can just translate into lowercase, and I had to just drop some data and all these. All transformation part we can do in the processing part, processor layer, right? In the processor layer. Apart from that processor, we have some extensions, like I have to do some health checks and all these things. So I can do using those extensions. So we can use extension for that part. Then comes the third thing, third segment, exporter. Exporter is like I have collected my metrics. I have done filter. I filtered my metrics. Now I have to send that metrics to outside, or metrics, or say you can say traces, or you can say logs. I just want to send it out. So how I can send it out? So I have to first identify. Okay, I'm going to use OpenTelemetry solution, or I'm going to use some vendor backend. So let's say in our case, we are going to use SignalFX as a Splunk observability uh, as a vendor backend. So we will choose the exporter as a SignalFX, right? And we can send it to vendor. Or if you have to send some open source thing, you can choose that exporters, and this is how you can go ahead and just send the telemetry things to uh, third-party solution, or you can say vendor solution, or commercial solution. So this is the architecture. Okay. So we do OTL protocol to receive the data, to send the data. So it's like in OTLP, we have gRPC protocol, we have HTTP protocol, and all these things. So this is how we just send data. We do collect data using same, and we do send the data over the OTLP protocol and all these things. Okay. So this is the architecture. And before I will jump into these components, how we do configure and all these things, so walk you through with the Git. Okay, I have all these things available. Okay, let me know once you are able to see the Git. Okay, so OpenTelemetry Git. Okay, so over here you can see OpenTelemetry CNCF projects. And yeah, over here there is a lot of things pinned, and whatever you require, you can see. Right now I'm talking about collector. So you can see these OpenTelemetry collector country, OpenTelemetry collector release, OpenTelemetry collector. Okay, so these are three things. So this OpenTelemetry collector release is basically the package. We can, if I click here, and after that we can download it, and we can use that collector in our, we can run this collector in our local, and you can start gathering local metrics and all these things. Okay, so these are, you can see, like zip file, or package. This is a package file in this. Now we have this OpenTelemetry collector country and OpenTelemetry collector. So OpenTelemetry collector is basically our stable solution. It's like once everything is done and everything is stable, so everything comes under the OpenTelemetry collector. And this OpenTelemetry collector contrib is basically the solution, like vendors, like you can say Splunk is contributing, AWS is contributing, Azure is contributing. So they do contribute, and they do make their own receivers, they do make their own exporters, they do make some processors if they require. So this is a difference. So I can walk you through. So let me first switch to OpenTelemetry release. Okay. I hope you are able to see the OpenTelemetry collector release. Yeah. So when you click on these things, So you can see what is the release. We have OpenTelemetry distribution. So you can see all the binaries and for the multiple platform and everything is available. So you can see there are a lot of contributors. We have multiple contributors from Splunk, Elastic, Datadog, and Google, and you can see a lot of upload here. Now after, if you have to download, you can go here and you can download the package. It's this is right now they have released point 0.120.0. This is latest version. You can go here and you can just you can just download the package. So if you can click here, you can see the release notes about these things, whatever the latest release they have fixed and all these things, because it's very crucial if you are upgrading or anything. And if you want to download from here, you can download uh, based on your that's it. So you can download from here from this release window. So I will show you now about how we download the collector in our local or wherever I'm working, and I can choose a package. Second part, I was talking about OpenTelemetry Collector uh, GitHub. Let me go there. Okay, so this is OpenTelemetry Collector. Over here, the lot of configuration, lot of files. Yeah, in a first look, it is going to very overwhelming. So once you will be familiar, so you are able to identify, okay, what you have to use and all that. So let me give you quick, glance over here. You can see I was talking about things like processor. I was talking about the receiver. I was talking about uh, exporters, right? So if I click on this receiver section, you can see lot of receivers we have, right? So internal receiver, OTLP receiver. Say if I just want to know about OTLP receiver, I can go here and I can have a look in the receiver, and you can read about it, like how you can use the receiver. So this is you can use the receiver. OTLP. This is the configuration. So we configuration part bit later, but this is how you can see the what is the exact configuration you have to do in the receiver section for the OTLP. You can read about it, like what is the endpoint you have to use, and what are the protocols we have. It's like how you can write in these HTTPGs and all these. Right? This is one of the receiver. If you are using some other thing in the receiver, so you can just have a look and you can use those things. Okay, so this is one way. I'm in a open telemetry collector, which is standard one. Now, if I go to a processor section, so you can see a different processor. Like we have batch processor. Batch processor we do use in our processing pipeline. Basically, when we receive any data or anything, it's like any telemetry logs and all these things. Instead of sending continuous, so it's like we do send in a bunch of batches. Else, maybe we have memory issues and all these things. So everywhere we do use batch processor. So you can see how we configure these batch processor on all these things. If I click on this processor and I go here, so yeah, so this is how you can use batch processor. You can use multiple batch processor, like what should the batch size and all. It's very neat and clean here. Like you go through documentation, so you can prefer like they have some default settings. By default, we can say we have 1,000 span batches and all these things, and you can set these things as per your need. Okay, so this is the processor section. Now third one is like exporter. Now where I have to send the data, right? So exporters, you can see the open telemetry. It's like a, for example, in when we do work, so we don't directly send telemetry or anything to any backend. So we just see what we can see in the local. This is very handy thing like debug exporter. So we will do that during our next part of session. So you can see debug exporting, how we configure, how we can use, and you can also see what is the stability of this debug exporter, right? So it is in a development for the traces, metrics, log, and profiles, and you can see what all the values you can use, like this exporter section, exporter, you can see debug and verbosity and all this thing, right? So this is how you can do. Okay, so if you see here, most of the things are standard one. Okay, whatever the exporter I'm using. Let me switch to contribute now. Okay, let me set the tab. Okay, so this is a This is a contrib. Okay, if you are able to see any lags, just please unmute yourself and let me know. This is a contrib git. In contrib git, you can see compared to the export section which we see in normal collector git, you can see a lot of things here. See, so you have different technologies, different things. You can see Alibaba is here, AWS here, AWS Kinesis exporter is here, X-ray is here, and you can see file log exporter is here. And if I go down, so you can see signal effects exporter here. See, this is we have to we can use for the Splunk observability. So this is how we can use it. Is beta stability, and this is exporter for signal effect, and this is how you can use everything is here. And this is a community flavor. So this is how you can, if you are using some other technology, like if you are going to use open source solution and all this like Jipkin and all that, so you can use the Jipkin exporters here, right? So these are configuration. You can see all the things related how you can configure these files. So these are the exporter for the country. People can come, people can contribute. Like there are a lot of vendors who are working on open telemetry. They do create their own exporter, how they want to export. Like a lot of companies are using Kafka exporters. A lot of companies are using they have their own exporters. So you can contribute and you can use these things from here for the open telemetry point of view. So this is very nicely built GitHub, and it is updating every day, and it's very active thing. So you can go through these things. So this is a story about all these three things which I was talking about. Uh, how we can download, how we can refer the documentation, which GitHub used for which purpose, like where we can use contrib if you are using some vendor related solution. Uh, if you have to just see how standard things work, you can go to OpenTelemetry Collector. If you have to talk about the vendor solutions, and if you have to use some exporters, like in the companies, we have multiple projects, right? So I do use Nginx, I do use Apache, I do use you can say Kafka. So there are a lot of things we do use in our organization. We have multiple open source solutions and all these things. So from the contribute, you can get idea. Okay, if I have to collect from this sales applications, how we can collect those things. So this is how we can collect. Like I can go to contrib, I will see. Okay, hey, do we have any receiver available? Okay, using that receiver, I can collect the data. After that, I can export it to whatever backend, like let's say Splunk Observability. We are using Splunk Observability, so we can send it to that exporter, Splunk Observability or Signal Effect exporter. So this is the beauty of OpenTelemetry. So it supports everything, all the SaaS solution, all the on-prem solution, or all the underlying technology. So like if you have JVM, if you have to collect JVM metrics, or any memory heaps and all these things, so it do also collect those things. So you can go through that contrib, so you can see a lot of receivers available here. So this is a basic summary about the collector, because this is the main component. So let me try to deep dive on the component one by one. So how the configuration works. So I'm just taking a very basic example of a collector. So let me start from the receiver. I hope I'm on the receiver slide. If not, please you can unmute your line and let me know. Uh, in the receivers, so this is a config you can see. So over here you can see how we have the OTLP. This is a protocol we do follow to collect the or to collect the telemetry from any host or anywhere. So this is the receiver section in the OTLP protocol. So we have two protocol in OTLP right now for gRPC and STTP. So in STTP we do use 4318 port, and gRPC we do use 4317 port. So there are a lot of ports and things available on things come into the picture for this. And same thing like for the host metrics. Let's say for my you can say I just kept host metrics because this is very familiar for everyone. Everyone is all aware about like we do collect the CPU, memory, disk, file system, load network from my systems or our whatever system like EC2s, our VMs, or any solution we do collect. So this is one of the exporter like host metrics I chose. Like what I'm saying, so I have to collect the host metrics from the system where we have the collection interval of 10 seconds, and you have to scrape all these metrics. Every 10 seconds, it is going to talk about or give me uh, the things about the CPU, memory, disk, file system, load, and network. So this is the receiver section. Okay. So next part is processor part. Processor is like we have to process data. If data is fine, we can directly pass this data and we can send it to exporter and it will send to our vendor backend like Splunk observability. Okay. But if I have to process anything, I'm getting data. I just want to add some new thing. Okay. Let's say in this case, this is my batch processor which I was talking about, and batch process is like when we collect the data, when we receive a telemetry data. So I'm just setting okay, what should be my batch size? So I'm saying okay, 100 should be my batch size, and in after 5 seconds, after trying, it should be timeout. So this is just for a sake. I just kept this configuration. So you can increase it. You can make like 1,000, 10,000 based on your architecture or based on your capacity and all these things. So you can increase, decrease the way you want. Okay. Now this is the attribute section. Let's say I have collected data. Okay. But in the host metrics, there is how I will know, okay, which environment it is. Okay. I just want to understand. And I have to delete some, let's say I'm also collecting some data related, database related statements, email and all these things. So I can do that part as well. For example, you can say key, right? So I just want to add, I collected a CPU. Let's say this is my system. I collect CPU metrics, but I just want to know which environment it is. Using that CPU, I'm not sure like okay, what is the environment it is. So what I can do, I can just add the value here. I'm saying okay, okay, I just want to add the key as environment and values would be projection, and I'm just doing the insert action. So this is one of the case. Okay. Second thing you can see about the email and all these things. So I just want to hash out if there is any email. So it is you can take a context like from the cyber point of view and from PI data point of view. You can take that point. Like sometime if you see this field, let's say uh, SSN number. So I just want to hash it. So you can just give a key as SSN and action as a hash. So it will automatically hash it, so it will not show you the data. If that is not redirected from the source itself, we can take care in the processing pipeline. So it is very similar to our ops.conf and transform.conf part. Same, if I have to delete, I just want to delete the DB statement because let's say how we are saying in a DB statement, I am passing different username. Let's say if you talk about FS companies or pharma companies, they have very critical data. Then when they do query, so they talk about their customer. They put some customer ID or patient ID and all these things. So I don't want to show that thing into the database statement. So I just want to delete it, right? I can't do anything source, but when I got that telemetry or I got that log, I just want to delete it. So or I just want to delete the db statement as delete. So that's what I'm doing here. So we can do all the transformation. I can do all the, I have to add anything, update anything, or it's like I just want to update the fields. Let's say it is coming as a host. I just want to make it the host name. So I can do from here. In the process, I can use the attribute section and I can define this is the current value. This would be the new value, something like that. So we can do that. So this is how we can talk about the processor section. So we can do transformation in this section. Then it comes to exporter section. So uh, exporters, we can use OTLP. So this is a default endpoint. In endpoint, you can define whatever endpoint you have, whatever the backend you want to send. Let's say if it is signal effects, you can send it to signal effects. This is one way of sending. But in exporters, we have signal effects also provide their own exporters. So we can use exporters where we have to give API key. We have to give API endpoint and REST endpoint and a key. Based on that, we can do. But OTLP, we have different models to send the data. So if I just want to send directly data to any exporter, I can use the exporter from my host itself, right? But this is not the way enterprise functions. So whenever we do send data outside of any sort our on-prem solution or any solution, so we have something in a mid, right? So it's like a agent gateway model. So you can send data to that gateway. From that gateway, it will go outside. It's like we are going to collect all the metrics, everything in the load balanced gateway, and from the gateway, it is going to export the vendor backend. So that's why I just kept OTLP. So in case of signal effects, if you want to send directly matrix out or traces out, so you can just change it to signal effects, and you can just go ahead and send to, you can see the traces in a live in a form in the signal effects. And this is a logging. It's like I want to do any bugging, debugging, and all these things, so I can do. So this is whatever series detail. So you can just change it to informational and all that. So this is how you can do. Now I have created my pipeline. So this is one more component I was talking about, the extensions. In extension, you can just create the health checks and all these things as per your requirement. Let's say I just want to monitor 1777. I just want to monitor 9097 or whatever the endpoint you want to monitor. You can do extensions, and you can make extension, and you can just collect the data as well. So this is only for the health check point of view. So like my collector is working, this port is working, that port is working, so I can do that. Okay, so we have already talked about receiver, processor, exporter, and extension, right? But now the main section, like service pipeline, how I'm going to, you know, use those all things into my pipelines. It's like I know what is the what I have to receive, what I have to collect. I know what I have to process. I know what I have to send. But how I can use those things to in actual YAML file and only in a config file. So we have some format available. So let me show you how it works. Right. This is a service pipeline. This is a pipeline where we define all these things, whatever I have done. So in the pipeline, you can see if I have to send the traces, I have to say, okay, hey, I'm going to receive on the OTLP, right? What receiver means? So means from the source system, I'm going to receive on the OTLP, and then I'm going to use the processors like a batch processor and resource processor, like or attribute processor, whatever processor I will define. Then I am just sending it to OTLP exporters or signal effects exporter or logging exporter. So this is what we are defining. Same thing goes for matrix, same thing goes for traces. You can see what is the difference here. In case of traces, I'm just talking about the OTLP, we're just receiving traces. But this host matrix will not be part of traces, right? Because it is collecting the matrix. So I can't add this host matrix receiver to the receiver pipeline. But this is, it will not work. It will fail because it is all about the matrix. And this trace pipeline is all about the traces. And then it goes to then same thing like in a process, or we are using batch process and resource thing, and then export is thing. And the for the logs again, I'm going to collect the logs over the OTLP. If I have any other things, I will add it. And for the exporter, you can see OTLP and logging. So if I have to send these data using some other exporter like a file log and all these things, I can do that as well. So this is a typical setup you can see here for the receivers, like how whole full-fledged pipeline looks like. Okay. So before I will show you the how we design the YAML file. Before that, you can see this is the flow of OpenTelemetry Collector. So this is a data source. We have a receivers, and after the receiver, you can see it is going to processor where it is processing. Then it is going to export. From the exporter, it is going to backend systems. Okay. And this is an additional component like extensions. If I have to use uh, for the health checks or for any other things, we can use. And there is one more processor. It's not on top of my head, but there is one more thing we can use. So this is a typical of OpenTelemetry Collector. How it works and all that. Okay. Let me go back to my YAML file. If you have any questions, meantime, so uh, you can say configurations we have. So I just took three parts. Receivers is here, right? Receiver, I'm just adding OTLP receiver, protocols, gRPC, HTTP, and then I have created we have exporters, and exporter is here, and then we have a service pipeline, right? Right, I haven't defined any processor over here. Okay, in right now. So if I have to define, I can just use the processor and use it. So this is how it is designed. For the pipeline, you can see traces are here. We have receivers. What is the receiver? We have OTLP receiver, right? And I define all these things. And exporter, debug exporter I'm using. I just want to see in the local itself. Okay. So to make it a bit, better, so I have updated this config file to make it's like something interesting. Okay. So let me go once again. So in the receiver section, we had OTLP. I just want to collect my host metrics of my local system where I'm running in my Mac. So in the host, you can see like I'm saying, okay, in 80 seconds, it should describe the CPU memory. And I created a dummy file, and I'm just using this file log receiver to collect logs, right? So I just created test JSON file here. Okay, if you can see here, and in the config I'm just saying, okay, hey, this is my path, and you have to include this whatever JSON file available on this path, and this is the operator, what is the type of JSON password, and what is the layout. So I have defined this file log receiver here. Then I just added, exporter. I'm just using debug right now. We can add other exporters, so I will do after some time. And service, you can see in service pipeline, you can see I just want to collect the trace. Then this is the receiver, OTLP is the receiver, and this is debug. And for the metrics, I'm saying, okay, I just want to collect OTLP and host metrics, because I had just talked about the host metrics here, right? In a host metrics, I'm going to collect into metrics. And then in a logs, I have file log receiver. So I'm going to collect the uh, data logs, whatever I have on this particular path, star.json file, like in test.json file, and it will go to debug exporter. Okay. So what I have done, I just downloaded the OpenTelemetry Collector from the release, and I just installed in my local. So I haven't installed, I just kept in my local, and let me try to show you. So okay. So this is the OpenTelemetry version hotel called Contrib. This is a 0019. This is the latest release we have, and I just have this hotel and all that. So I have to run. Then I just have to run this command like hotel call OpenTelemetry Collector hyphen config and config.yaml. Right. So let me show you one more time this config. So if you see this config one.yaml, let me run that first. Okay, in that config YAML, when I will run config one.yaml, what happens? Okay, so it is started the exporter, setting up one own telemetry agent, and it is starting gRPC server receivers like OTLP endpoints, whatever endpoint it is, and then it is talking about starting HTTP server receiver and all these things, right? So this is the one, because this is what's happening right now, and this is how you can identify, okay, my open telemetry collector is working or not. So if there is any issues and all these things, so there is multiple way. Sometimes what happens when this is the YAML file, right, and it's very tricky. So I'm using this visual code. You can use this hotel validator extension just to check like everything is fine or not. Let's say I have done anything with the indentation here, so it is not going to start. Let me do that way. Let's say I have done this indentation issue, and it is not going to start. Let me, okay. See, so it is not going to start. So it's very, you can say, very critical thing. So how we are setting our config and all these things. So we have to be very careful whenever we are going to do large scale deployment and all these things. We must test all these things in our local things are working or not. Then only we can deploy. So we have to be very careful on that. So let me do it right. Okay. So this is a config one. Okay, it's a basic one. I was just showing like uh, how it works, like how collector run and all these things. Let me show you this same part. Okay, now over here, what we are saying, we have to collect the host matrix, we have to collect the file log, and then we are going to export it and debug. So let's see how it looks like. So let me go back. Let me clear it out first. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, see, when we started this, it has done that part, started watching file. So whatever the file, if you see these logs, like everything is ready, begin running and processing data. Now I started watching file, receiver name, file log, data type, and it started seeing that file, and it started looking into metrics as well, resource metrics like data points and all these things. So you can see all these things here. I just added the debug exporter to see everything in local instead of I will just send it to any telemetry endpoint. So you can see here. You can see all the metrics related to system, CPU time, CPU related things, and you can also see those logs, whatever uh, we have on test dot file, right? So you can see here. So it is going to update into every 30 seconds. Okay, let's do some experiment now. Okay, I think it's 30 seconds done. So now it again sends some data points. Okay, so let's do some experiment, and then let me try to add something on this test.json file. So let me say, let me copy it. Okay, let me say it's a Pune UG session. Okay, let me update it. Okay, now let's save it. Okay, let's see how our collector, how it looks like. Yeah, see, uh, whenever we do update anything or anything over here, it will automatically start sending some data. So let's see if it is here or not. Yeah, see, I updated that, so it is showing me. Okay, it sent me the log record organization. So this is how things works in OpenTelemetry. Right now I'm sending to debug, so I can use other exporters. I was talking about. So let me go back to the exporter section and let's try a few things. How it looks like, and let's see. Okay, so let's go here, OpenTelemetry country, and let me try some processors. Okay, so let's go with the basic one. Uh, Attribute is here. Let's see where we have batch. Yeah, let's see batch. I just want to use a batch processor. Okay, so for my so you can copy from here and let's go here. Let's keep. Okay, so I just kept here, but I'm not going to use batch 2. I will just use batch 1. I don't have much, and I will use a default setting. And if you want to know, you know, what is the default value and all these things, so there is a documentation in here. So you can read here how batch processor works. So you can see the batch processor accepts spans, matrix logs, and places them into batches, right? And you can see what is the size if I will not configure anything. So default size is 8192. So right now I'm not doing anything. So it is going to send 8192 spans matrix data points in a one go, and timeout will be 200 milliseconds. And these are default settings, right? So I'm not doing anything. So I have just added batch processor. So do you think it will work or not? So question to you guys. Do I have to do anything else?
It should work on the default configurations, ideally.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. Anyone else? So we just added this processor here, right? So, but we haven't declared this in our service pipeline. So I'm just saying, okay, hey, I have added the processor, batch processor, but I haven't added these into my processor section here. So whatever I am doing here, right? So I have to add this batch processor into these sections. Let's say for the matrix, I just want to use a batch processor. Now it will
Yes.
come into picture.
Yeah.
Over here, whatever you are doing, if I just remove, let's say this is a receiver, right? File log is receiver is here. If I remove this file log from here, so it is not going to work. So you can see these are the this is the configuration part, but this is the main backbone. So whatever I just want to call or I just want to make in a live production part, so I have to define those things. This is how it works. Yeah, Gauri, please go ahead.
No, got you.
Yeah. So I just added, so hopefully over here it will automatically update uh, this batch related thing and all these things here. So it will automatically refresh the OpenTelemetry collector. So now it will collect and it will send the 819 to whatever default setting we have. Okay, let's do some more experimentations. So right now I'm just talking host metrics, right? So I just scrape CPU and memory. Let's go through the documentation. So what else we can do with this processor, with this receiver? Okay, so let's go ahead and let's look for this page. Okay, meantime, if anyone have any questions, please feel free to jump in. Okay, see, this is a host matrix receiver, which we have used, right? So let's go. What else we can do with this? So I can collect. I have used CPU scraper. I have used memory scraper, but I can do disk load, file system memory, network paging, and all these things, right? So let's try something. Let's try to add in a host matrix where collect is scraper CPU memory. Let's collect. Let's use this. Let's collect disk. Let's add this disk. Objects. Okay. So what we are saying. So I just want to collect. This is a matrix test disk, and I just want to know about disk and the file system. And the collection intervals would be 1 minute. Let's change it to 30 seconds for now. You can adjust it as per your convenience. And again, we just added this in the receivers. So I have to copy this and I have to add into my pipeline. So in the pipeline, so we have to use this is matrix next to host matrix. You can add this matrix. I hope this is a correct. Yeah, host matrix is this. So now right now it was only collecting CPU and memory. Now it will collect disk and file system. Let's save it and let's see are we getting anything or not. Okay, let's go back to our receiver. Let me do one thing. Let me it will update itself, but shut down it, clear it, and let's run it again. Yeah. So you should see some disk data points or file system data points here. Yeah. See mount points, mount points, disk, right? So this is how it works. And you are also collecting the CPU as well, right? CPU metrics and all these things. Everything is coming up. File system related and CPU related, memory related. See, CPU is coming, CPU is coming. Then if we go down CPU, then you can see some memory stuff, system memory usage. If I go down, I can see disk. operations. Yeah. This is how it works. And now I'm getting data points related to mount points and all these things. So this is the beauty of open telemetry and all these things. And there is a lot of supports available in the community, and this is how you can do. And if I want to collect, so you can think about how you can leverage it into your enterprise. Using the open telemetry collector, you can do all three things of observability. You can collect the metrics, you can collect the logs, as well as you collect the traces as well. So this is how OpenTelemetry Collector works, and that's all I have for today.